What are the main technology trends today in the market?
The market is really looking at providing security at the source of the data itself. In the past, we saw that people were implementing firewalls and antivirus, anti-spam, and all of that is wonderful. We certainly need all of that. But at the end of all of this, what you're really trying to do is to protect the data, which is the core of all of your assets. And unless you protect this, it doesn't really matter what else you actually do. So the trend is to really move your protection down back from the firewall and the antiviruses closer to the data itself. And as you know, a good amount of data lives within the databases. So that's the focus. And I think that's the trend going forward, is to really protect your data itself.
So, and I think if I may add to that, I think that there are many elements to that. As Vipin said, firewalls and perimeter level protection tends to focus on securing hardware and infrastructure and environments. And the challenge is that we now work in a world where the perimeter is no longer as secure as it was. Everybody has e-commerce sites, it has applications that we deliver to the consumers. We deliver third-party applications to our suppliers and our partners, and we provide levels of access that are unprecedented previously to many people, and sometimes we don't know who those people are, and we don't necessarily know how we're managing that. So the vision for Oracle is to look at securing the information at the information layer itself, as it resides in the database, and as it moves across your network, inside your corporate boundary, and outside of that into your partner's environment or your consumer's environment. So the three critical things that we believe need to happen is you secure the information that is valuable to your organization, you understand who has access to that information at the point that they need access, and you understand what is happening to that information as it moves beyond your control. And I think that as a three-leg looks at identity, data, and content is a key part of Oracle's value proposition.
Could you outline, please, the challenges, some main challenges that your customer faces today?
So there are multiple challenges that people face. First is really for them to even know what to secure, because many companies have lots of databases out there, lots of users, insiders and outsiders, and they have a tough time in deciding how you should protect your assets. That's first. Second one is that they realize there's a lot of work to be done, but they don't quite know how to go about protecting your data. Does it mean that they have to change their business practices? Does it mean that they have to change their applications? Does it mean that they have to recertify everything? And it seems like a very daunting, huge task. The third issue that we often see is that people are concerned about performance. They all know that security is good, we should do that. But if security brings with it a huge performance penalty, people have lots of concerns, right? So, in some sense, it's just really about knowing what to protect, whom to protect from, right? And how to do it such that you don't have to go and change your entire world around you. These are some of the real operational issues that customers face. And then there are many other business issues. Yeah. And maybe if you want to cover that.
Sure. So I think from a business perspective, we're moving into a world where security has been seen previously as the insurance policy. You have to have insurance because you want to protect yourself if something goes wrong. But more and more we see security as becoming the foundation for enabling the business to innovate as it moves around. And the key focus for Oracle in this is to look at more of an information-centric security architecture that works together, that understands that we have a combination of approaches and technologies that fit to provide a holistic, what we call a security inside-out approach that delivers a defense-in-depth architecture that is designed and engineered to work together to focus on delivering value for the business, such that we don't fall into what we call the lowest common denominator of security. So your firewall's secure, your antivirus is up to date, but your intrusion protection is not up to date, and that becomes a vulnerability in your environment. From an information perspective, we're looking at saying information is the value that drives economy now. You look at data in a raw form becomes information, becomes knowledge, and allows businesses to make decisions about how they manage their business. And increasingly, the integration of Oracle technology from Oracle applications through to the database and now into the operating system tier with the Sun hardware allows us to look at an architecture that is tightly integrated, that provides a seamless level of security from the outside in and from the inside out, so that we can look at the costs, the productivity, the efficiencies, and the manageability of security at a business-driven enablement and innovation perspective, if that makes sense.
Okay, and what are the solutions that you offer to face those challenges?
Okay, so I guess at this point I will give you the overarching picture, and then I'd like Vipin to dive into the database security piece. So Oracle's security fits into 5 key buckets. We have security at the hardware layer from our acquisition of Sun Microsystems, where we are looking at secure desktop strategies, cryptographic accelerators, hardware security style modules, server-side crypto keys, and abilities to manage encryption at the operating system in the hardware layer. We have database security, which Vipin runs worldwide, and we'll speak to in more detail in a second. We have the #1 market share and class-leading identity and access management product portfolio, which delivers standard functions of identity and access management, such as automated provisioning, access control, and directory services. But also, we started to look at things like platform security using our enterprise gateway product, which delivers XML security at the heart of a SOA infrastructure, which looks at authentication and advanced authorization technologies, such as our adaptive access management product, which allows us to do risk-based and context-based authentication, and also our Oracle Entitlement Server, which allows us to do fine-grained authorization across many applications, being able to abstract the policy from the application outside of the application. And then on top of that, we have what we have as our content security, which looks at securing the information itself, that allows us to seal the documents and seal the information such that only the people that we want to have access to that information can access that information when it's beyond our perimeter control. So if I email you a document, I still have control over that document, even though you may be reading that on your BlackBerry or on your home PC. And then beyond that, into our application space, we have our governance, risk and compliance technologies that look at delivering controls, prevention and detection on the basis of delivering internal governance and compliance with regulations such as EU data privacy, MiFID and Sarbanes-Oxley, and financial services applications, and a myriad of other applications that are out there. So that's the breadth of the portfolio. The one thing I would like to add is Oracle's heritage is on delivering secure solutions for security services, and has always been built from that, and has predominantly been built around the core of the database, which is what Oracle is most known for, and that is absolutely where I'd like to hand it over to Vipin to talk in more detail about the database security portfolio.
Sure. So the way I like to think about these things is that where would the attack come from? Where would the threat really come from? And that's the only way to really go about ensuring that you have strong security. So first, the threat can come from your OS administrator or your sysadmin, because they can come and look at your files, and since you're storing your data in files, they can walk away with it. Second, you have to think about your DBA himself or herself, because as a DBA, you have full access to the data inside the database. That's your second threat. Third threat is from your applications and your applications DBAs, because In the past, these were built with very high privileges, which means that I can again access the entire data on my database, right? The fourth, if you want to think about it, is your regular users. Because even as a regular user, if my application is not very well designed or defined, I can launch attacks from the web, launch SQL injection attacks from the web, and then be able to steal all of your data. And the fifth is really at the network level, where I can come and sniff the wire and then really know what's kind of going on and then steal your data. So these are the 5 key threat places from where attacks can actually come. They can come from whether you are an insider or an outsider, right? Whether you are from in the network, out the network, from a service program, or from an application itself. So what we do from Oracle perspective is that we try to address all of these 5 threats as it comes to the database itself. We start off by saying that you really need a database firewall to stop the attacks coming in from outside. It is like your regular network firewall, but it's just analyzing your SQL traffic between your application server and your database, and then analyzing the traffic and knowing what is good and what's bad. If it's a SQL injection attack, we can stop it right there. Then we look at encrypting the database. So what this does is that this way, even if you're able to hack into the operating system of your computer, of your server machine, you would not be able to look at the data itself, right? We mask the data as the data goes from your production system to your test people and your development people, because they could be in some other office or in some other country as well. So you want to be sure that your data is not visible to them. Third, we want to make sure that your DBAs are not able to access your data. We provide very powerful controls within the database with what we call as database vault, making sure that even your DBAs, even though they are the most privileged user on the database, they can manage the data but not look at the data itself, because that is a very big threat faced by many of our customers. And the fourth one is for your network admins. For them, we are going to encrypt the wire itself, making sure that there is no access to that. At the end of the day, at the end of all of this, you still have to give access to your admins to do their job. So we audit them. We make sure that we know what they are doing. And we're able to aggregate all of their activity data into a centralized warehouse and be able to report on it and create some correlation type of data and know what exactly is going on inside your enterprise. So this way, with these 5 things, we can address all of these 5 threats. This is what we call as our defense in depth kind of architecture. And again, not every customer may need all 5 of them, but we think that if these 5 are the key threats that you are facing, you need to look at all 5 of them and decide what really makes sense for you.
How would you describe the Russian market, just from the point of view of Oracle?
What we see in the Russian market is that as the economy has matured and changed rapidly and radically over the last few years, the value of information is being more critically understood within Russia. And Russia has come very quickly into a more automated and technology-driven market space, which is actually a refreshing thing from us to see, because we see that the Russian market understands the value of security and is looking to build security into those infrastructures and into those architectures as it matures.
The organizers of InfoSecurity Europe pay special attention to educational program for visitors.
Right.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the major features of this show.
Sure.
What is the most important knowledge for customer today from your point of view?
I'll share my perspective, and I'm sure there'll be some more perspectives here. I think that the most important information or the knowledge that we want customers to walk away with is that your data is your asset, and you really have to know how to protect it well. If I, for example, attack your laptop, I'll only carry your laptop data and only about you. But if I can attack your database, I can walk away with the entire data. That to me is a big education I would like to share, to really encourage our customers to think about the data itself as the key asset that they need to protect. The other one I would just like to say is that earlier people would think about your firewall as your perimeter, right? But to me, it's now your user. End user is indeed becoming your perimeter, and you have to make sure that every end user is educated and they are protected as well. Otherwise, the bad guys can indeed get into your network.
So from my perspective, I think that we would like to educate people to guard against complacency. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not affecting you. The challenge we see with many of the high-profile breaches and threats that have been uncovered across the world recently highlight the value that other people have in your information for whatever purpose they have. But we're only scratching the surface. I talk a lot about the icebergs. You see the tip of the iceberg. It's the things that you can't see that are going to damage your business and are going to damage growth in your region and in Russia as it grows as a market. And I think that we would like people to consider security first, not afterwards. Think about a multi-layered approach to security and think about an integrated architecture that understands that you need to understand who's accessing the information, what value that information has, should they have access to it, and do you know what they're doing with it when it's beyond your control?
What kind of future you are selling today? I mean, for customers, what kind of future? Because we use technologies to build some kind of systems, yeah, and we develop technologies to build some kind of future.
Okay.
You are one of major providers of these technologies.
Sure.
So what kind of future you are selling now to customers?
We want people to be able to get access to the information, right, safely and securely. In some sense, that's the future that we really want to sell.
When you buy an application from Oracle, you'll have the opportunity to utilize the security products and the identity and access management products within our portfolio that integrate seamlessly within your application, so that when you need an identity management service for your application, you use one identity management service that applies equally across all of your applications. That's not true today. Each application that your customers buy today, that your organizations buy today, have their own database, have their own middle tier, have their own application business logic, and they have their own understanding of how a user accesses the system and how they interact with that system. What Oracle believes is that actually we should look to a future whereby whether you use our technology or whether you use somebody else's, you only need one directory service. You need one repository for managing your data and information securely, that you understand that each application is going to deliver business value, but that you don't need a huge infrastructure behind that. And I think as we move more into the cloud environments and different channels to market of virtualization, we also need to understand that security and identity will carry an even bigger premium, because now you're not necessarily understanding who owns your data or where it lives and where it resides, but you still want to understand the three basic functions and tenets of security in terms of, is your data confidential? Does it have integrity? And is it available to the right people at the right time? So we have a far-reaching vision about how we will deliver applications and services to users, but it's underpinned by the core tenets of security. One
thing again, like if you look at today, the security is all siloed, right? There's a little piece here, a little piece there, a little piece there, and these pieces don't often work well with each other. Now Oracle is in this very unique place where we own a big part of all of the stack, and we'll be able to really provide this end-to-end security, top to bottom, from OS, database, identity management, application server, and applications, and be able to manage it securely. I think that's the future that we are looking at.
Absolutely. A seamless integrated architecture that is proactive, that reduces the element of lowest common denominator security, and enables business to innovate and be successful.